Good afternoon. My name is Jewel McLawhorn, and today I will be discussing test administration and analysis. Testing integrity is essential to the foundation of nursing education. Upholding testing integrity reinforces that assessment outcomes clearly demonstrate students' knowledge, clinical reasoning, and the ability to transition into practice. Testing integrity also adheres to professional and ethical principles. The objectives and content covered in this presentation include explaining test integrity, administration and analysis, examining best practices in test administration and integrity, discussing test analysis methodologies, and discussing various approaches for students to provide a qualitative review. Test analysis validates that test items precisely align with the intended learning outcomes. Test analysis can support curriculum development and improvement by pinpointing content gaps. Cheating has been a growing concern over the years, especially in light of technological advances. To assure ethics in test administration, a well balanced approach to testing standards, grade assignment, and course mastery must be maintained. So, why is testing integrity so crucial? Assessments are not as valuable when test integrity is compromised. Any breach of testing integrity can invalidate trust and ultimately affect patient safety and outcomes when students are not properly prepared to enter the workforce or their clinical judgment is in question. The National Center for Education Statistics noted that there is a reliance on data that is accurate, reliable, and valid, and nurse educators should prioritize evidence based practices to ensure test integrity. Researchers describe integrity as the heart of excellent teaching and learning. Not only is academic and testing integrity crucial, but test administration is also vital. The student's physical and psychological environment play an integral role in the test administration process. Proper classroom setup decrease the likelihood of cheating opportunities. There should be sufficient spacing between desks. Students should be assigned seats utilizing a number system, or seating can be randomized. In addition to the seating, the classroom must be well ventilated and well lit to support a safe and effective instructional setting. Faculty should have an unobstructed view of all students in the classroom throughout the entire testing process. Clear procedures must be in place for students with accommodations. I will discuss accommodations later in the presentation. Educators are tasked with preventing unauthorized use of resources. Consistent policies foster integrity, fairness, accountability, and reduces academic dishonesty. Implementing these measures helps safeguard the validity of test results. Ensuring test integrity is of the utmost importance. Test monitoring and following the institution's policies and standards are also crucial. We can't let any of these steps be missed. Educators assume vital legal and ethical responsibilities related to accommodations for students with disabilities. If you are not familiar with the American with Disabilities Act, become familiar with it. The ADA protects people with disabilities from discrimination. It fosters inclusions and guarantees equality and accessibility. Students are responsible for requesting accommodations through the university's Disability Assistance Office. However, educators must ensure accommodations are provided while maintaining test integrity. Educators must also plan ahead and provide equitable access. Moving on to statistical analysis. Statistical analysis confirms and verifies that tests assess the intended outcomes. Reliability denotes consistency of results, meaning the test will yield the same or similar results when repeated. Validity measures accuracy. Reliable tests may not necessarily be valid, however, valid tests are reliable. For purposes of this presentation, I will be discussing the statistical package for the social sciences, the SPSS software. SPSS is often used for test analysis. Various peer-reviewed literature show that SPSS is a widely used tool for test analysis. Another tool utilized is the Kuder-Richardson Formula 20, also called KR20. This is a dichotomous tool used to measure internal consistency reliability. The KR20 is used for test items that are scored either right or wrong, such as multiple choice questions or true-false questions. It measures whether items on a test consistently measure the same construct. Moving on to validity and reliability. Reliable tests will reveal similar results among students. Reliability ensures fairness for the students taking the test, and it ensures test validity. Reliability can reveal inconsistencies in test items. Reliable tests provides educators with some assurance that nursing students are prepared for clinical practice as well as to enter the profession competently. For the purposes of this presentation, reliability will be determined using test, retest, and parallel form reliability. Test retest is when faculty administer the same test to the same group at different times. Parallel form reliability is the administration of different tests to the same individuals. Regarding validity, I will be discussing the utilization of criterion validity to determine validity of test questions. Researchers describe criterion validity as the gold standard for desired measurement. Criterion validity confirms test validity and accuracy through comparison with external benchmarks. If you want to know whether a test truly represents real-world outcomes, criterion validity is the measurement tool you would likely want to use. Reliability and validity ensures fairness and credibility of test items. Moving on to the various approaches educators can take for students to review tests. One such review is formative assessment. Formative assessment occurs during the learning process. Remember, that's during the learning process. Whereas summative assessment, another approach to test review, takes place after learning. Test review enhances and fosters learning. Some advantages associated with test review include clarification of test items, solidifying the understanding of the objectives and outcomes, and identifying and addressing testing misunderstandings. This gives the students opportunities to ask questions. A significant disadvantage associated with test review is the risk of test item exposure, meaning that if test questions get out to the next group, some cheating can go on. Educators are tasked with ensuring integrity of test administration and items. Test review can also be time-consuming, another disadvantage. Test review has its strengths and weaknesses. Regardless of the benefits and drawbacks, educators must ensure the institution's policies and test security are being maintained. In conclusion, sound validity and reliability are crucial in test administration and analysis. Statistical analysis supports validity and reliability. KR20 is one tool for validating reliability. A tool for determining validity is criterion validity. Emphasis must not only be placed on item quality, but contextual relevance, intended uses, and safeguarding of test items. By adhering to best practices, validity, fairness, integrity, and ethics is maintained and preserved. Test review promotes and strengthens learning. Educators must apply equitable and systematic test review practices and cultivate integrity in all aspects of student engagement. The takeaway goal from today's presentation should be to maintain integrity and preserve ethical standards, maintain consistent and unbiased administration and communication expectations, apply test analysis to improve curriculum development and instructional strategies, and promote learning outcomes and student achievement. Thank you for your time and attention. I hope you learned something from this presentation. Enjoy the rest of your day.